Hi, and welcome to the first episode of Please Advise, a podcast about social and environmental impact, marketing, growth, and all things in between. Today, I am so excited to be talking to my good friend, Kedzie Teller, all about Pride Month and how companies can be better allies outside of just the month of June. It's a great conversation. There's a lot of laughs, and I think you're going to love it. So let's dive in. Kedzie, thank you so much for joining us today. It is so good to see your face. Can you introduce yourself to the audience?
Absolutely. Hello, my name's Kedzie Teller. I run a marketing consulting business here in the beautiful city of Philadelphia. Former Bostonian, lived in Austin, just living my life in the creative space.
Amazing. And it's funny, I was just thinking earlier today about how we first met, and I was trying to think when that was, and it feels like lifetimes ago at this point.
It absolutely was lifetimes ago. And actually, I was thinking about it too, because I was trying to figure out what city I lived in at the time. Because You had
just moved to Philly. You had just moved to Philly.
Okay, got it. Yeah. We met in the early stages of Instagram content, strategy creation. Good times. Good times.
It's funny to think about, how far we've both come in our own careers from those initial days together. I obviously the audience doesn't know this story. Kedzie and I met on Instagram. We are true Instagram friends.
It's a real thing. It can actually happen. Yeah. I don't know if anyone's listening who has participated in the hidden world of Instagram pods is what they were. I think they still exist, but I feel less so. But back in the day when they were first a thing, that's how we connected. Yeah. And we were in a group of, I want to say 30 to 40 people that all had to engage with each other's content. Which, it led to, for me, 2 really solid friendships, you and one other. So, from weird situations come really good things. So
it's funny because it was such a dog-eat-dog world. If you aren't aware of the Instagram pod world, basically, I think they still exist at a smaller and different capacity. But when we were into them, it was a group of people basically in a giant DM chat that eventually moved outside of Instagram, but started in the DMs. And it was someone posted, and if you didn't go and like and comment on their stuff, within 2 minutes, you were cut. It was cutthroat in there.
Yeah, it was it was all about cracking the algorithm, which if anyone is, a social strategist in any way, we all know we play that game every single day still. And it was effective at the time. I'm going to tell you right now, it's probably not effective at all anymore, but for those of you still doing too smart. It's a good fight going. Yeah. So yes, so happy to have met you. And thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Yeah.
I hope, your listeners enjoy me.
I don't know how they could possibly not. So I'm thrilled to have you here. I think it is amazing to think about how much both of our lives and careers have changed from those, early days of Instagram. You mentioned a little bit about what you're doing now, but do you want to dive a little bit deeper into what that means and how you work with your clients and the type of work that you do?
Absolutely. So my journey, as all good ones are, has been a really winding one. I studied journalism, and I love it dearly still. So my background's entirely in writing. I moved right into the marketing world out of college, which is so gross to think was 10 years ago now. Anyways, so yeah, I moved around from corporate world to startup world. My last full-time job before I launched my own business was the agency world. So I feel I really touched the trifecta, if you will. At least that's what I consider it. And yeah, I was unhappy at my last job, even though it was my dream job. And I feel if anyone ever wants to talk about dream jobs falling apart, call me. I had worked I had worked for my entire career, which at that point was short, to land a specific job. I've been saying since I was a teenager I was going to work in this specific industry, and I made it happen, and it just wasn't at all what I had expected. And I will go back to it one day, but on my own terms and under leadership that's better. But it's okay, because from terrible situations, good things happen, right? I'm a firm believer that while we're in control of our own destiny, a lot of things, though, set us on the paths we're meant to be on. And yeah, from the ashes I rose.
Kedzie the Phoenix.
I am the Phoenix. Maybe that's my next tattoo. I launched my marketing consulting business. At the time, it was really, I was just freelancing because I was new to Philadelphia and I didn't know the landscape of, of work. And for many people out there, like life's a lot about your network and who you know and the businesses you're connected to. And I was new here. But yeah, now I run this marketing consulting business. I don't have a niche, which I think has been a really effective strategy for me. It's not for everybody, right? I work with a Food Network chef. I work with Chef Amanda Freitag. So individuals all the way up to like corporations, right? I work with tech companies. I work a lot in tourism, and what my work actually looks like, which I think was your real question, so sorry about that, is I do a lot of, my bread and butter is content strategy. I love to write. I love to tell stories. I'm a storyteller. I'm verbose, as you can tell. That's why I write, because I can do it. But my company offers a wider array of things, because as I started on my own, a lot of the work I would do was writing and strategy and social media and all that kind of stuff. And my clients always needed more. They needed paid, they needed ad, they needed PR, they needed web, they needed design. And all of those things go into telling a really, cohesive and robust story. So fortunately for me, I'm connected to brilliant creatives like yourself and others who I just feel like are not just great colleagues, but good friends. And so I've been able to tie people in as I go and turn my one-man shop into a full storytelling machine.
I feel like our paths are so similar, but I love it. Like, I love talking to other, thought leaders and people in the space and creatives and bouncing ideas off of people. Like, there's just so much opportunity when we think about collaboration. And I think it's just really incredible to kind of have those doors open and have those relationships like yours and mine. But thinking a little bit about communication and content specifically, it's the end of Pride Month. By the time this goes live, it will probably be a week or so after Pride Month. And I think all of our feeds are going to be slightly less colorful, perhaps. Maybe a few more logos will, be back to the black and white versions.
Maybe that. For sure.
But I would love to talk to you today about how, corporations and businesses and brands, how, so many of them really want to support the LGBTQ plus community. They really want to be allies. And as Pride has, or by the time this is airing, will have come to an end, or Pride Month, what should companies be thinking about? How can they continue to be an ally for the LGBTQ plus community?
Yeah, no, it's a huge conversation right now. I've been talking to a lot of my clients about this, a lot of colleagues about this, and also just friends like surprise, I'm gay. So my friends in the community, just about, there's so many memes circulating the internet right now of like these colorful like situations suddenly just going black and white and dark. It's like, I don't know. I saw a meme this morning that was like a clown. It was definitely a scene from the Powerpuff Girls show when we were kids. It was like a clown that was like all colorful and happy, and it started to rain, and as it rained, all of the color came off, and it turned out to be this like black and white villain with a scowling face. And I was like, oh, that's such a tragic meme, but it's also so kind of spot on. Because I will say, and I don't want to I don't want to pinpoint all of the negative, right? I want to talk about some of the good things and opportunities, but so there are a lot of companies out there that we call it rainbow wash, right? They rainbow wash, they make it look like they're supporting, but really in the back end, you have to look at what they're supporting the rest of the year. Like, where are some of the, like, who are they lobbying for? Where are their monies money's going? What organizations are they supporting? So while that meme might be a little dramatic, there are a lot of really big, powerful companies out there that talk the good talk all June, saying that they, love everybody, and perhaps they do. But the other, 11 months of the year, they're supporting, anti-queer, anti-trans, anti-gay legislation, politicians, this, that, and the next thing. And so really, like, the conversation has to be about how do you support, queer people year round, like you said, right? And for me, I mean, there's so many routes, but one of the big ways, obviously, is like, put your money where your mouth is. Like, let's really take a moment to audit who you're supporting and what you're doing. I don't want to, like, speak to any specific brands. I don't want to give any, like, shout outs.
We get a bunch of knocks on our door.
I know, knocks on our door. But there is one that did it wrong and then did it right. And I'm actually super inspired by this. And it's a way to support, again, queer people year round. And, originally they were a company that was known for being a little bit more masculine and very heterosexual and kind of a bro-y culture. I'm not going to get into it. But they were always super for the LGBTQ plus community. Like, they have a lot of those people, like people like myself on staff. They've always done queer products. And they really decided to go all in on it and actually do their first Pride line. And what their mistake is that the money was only going to them. Like, they were taking, so right, the idea of capitalizing on queer interests, queer products, and just benefiting off of it monetarily, and that money not going anywhere. So the internet exploded, good as it should. That was a year or two ago, maybe longer. And what they did, and it's an example for others, is now they have their Pride line year round. They have it year round. And I think for the month, I'm not using names too because I could be wrong on these details, but for the month of June, I'm pretty sure all proceeds, like 100%, go to the Trevor Project.
Wow.
And then for the rest of the year, I want to say I could be 50%. Again, I don't know the details. But this idea that Pride is way more than 30 days, people. You've got queer people that work for you. You have queer people that buy your products, queer people that see you and want to see themselves and want to know that they're supported, not just by, their immediate circle, but by the world as a whole. And so there's a lot of different things that you can do. So I just want to give that example.
Yeah, and I think that's a great example. When you and I talked previously, we talked about how so many companies, have Pride lines in support of Pride Month, launching June 6th.
Oh my God, can I go off on this? I swear,
Yes,
I'm not going to be negative. I'm not going to be negative this whole time. So please, I'm a positive, happy person.
Do it.
But please, brands, I love you so much. If you make me something rainbow that I want to buy, can you just start selling it in May? Like, especially if you have your 3-week shipping. The idea is that it's Pride Month, people. If you're selling a rainbow shirt that's going to make me look amazing, I want it for the month of Pride. Like, so many companies start their Pride lines like a week or two in, and then you get the notification that's like, oh, shipping takes 2 weeks. I'm like, sweet, I'll get it for the last day of June. This is great. Now, granted, I'm gonna rock that rainbow outfit year round because I am a very visible person. I present queer purpose, like, it is who I am as a person, but also I am a firm believer that if you have the voice and the strength and the thick skin to do so, it's important to be visible because there are so many people that can't. And by no means does that put me on a platform to make me a better person. And all, right? 0% that, because a lot of people stick to that or think that might be a thing. But the idea is representation and visibility matter. And I might literally be a nobody, but if I'm walking down the street and somebody who doesn't feel comfortable in their own skin sees me happy in mine, I know from personal experience with people I've met and friends I've made that are like, you help me feel better about myself. This is me tooting my own horn right now, but I mean, this is everybody. If you have the ability to do that, and that goes for companies too, right? We're talking about Pride. Like, if you're willing to support a cause, speak out, and do it for more than just 30 days when everyone else is doing it, you don't know who's watching and what they're going through and like what it can do for their life.
Yeah, and I think that's such a great point. Like, yes, the month of June is all about celebrating the LGBTQ plus community and thinking about how far we've come and how far we need to go. But to your point, like it doesn't mean that that community doesn't exist outside of the other, 11 months of the year, right? Like companies, when they're thinking about how can we be true allies, how can we move away from this performative activism and to like true allyship, it's about showing up. It's about having the thick skin. It's about sharing stories of people every single day.
Right. Absolutely. And I think you and I had talked about this previously. But I mean, one of the things I wish more companies would do is put actual LGBTQ plus like talking points and training and programming into HR departments, right? Think about like, we should be celebrating diversity of all kinds, 365, whether that's skin color, orientation, gender identity, what have you, the list goes on. And there are a lot of training. Like think about, I've sat through my fair share of HR like lessons my days in corporate America. But I know in my time, like, yes, we have employee resource groups like those ERGs where it's like the gay people at X company, like, yay, like, that's great. That's awesome. But like, that's a group within a company. Why don't you make it part of the full company culture, right? Like one doesn't have to omit you from the other. And I know in my time before I launched my own thing, there was nothing about, gender identity. There's nothing about queer issues. And now granted, the world has changed a lot very quickly in the last couple of years in terms of talking about these things, and we need to be at all times. So like, yay. But I think that's another opportunity for companies to think about Pride year round is like, how are you talking about and talking to, these people that work for you, that sit next to you, who are your brothers and your sisters and your colleagues and your neighbors, all these people that want to know that they're living and working in a place that supports them and embraces them for every part of their life.
Right. And it's not just about, giving to these causes. Like that's fantastic. Keep doing that. Yeah. But it's also about making your team members, making your community, making, to your point, your family members, whoever it is, feel respected and included and, all of those things every single day of the year. And if we were able to do that, that would be, beginning to solve the true issues as opposed to, solving it once it's, further down the line and has become a bigger problem.
No, exactly. And I really quickly wanted to pull it up. I shared a story on Instagram today that just like,
I thought was so,
I
loved it.
God, can I read it? May I read
please.
that to the audience here? So again, allyship, I have a lot of my own personal things here that this is not going to become a Kedzie Teller therapy session about like,
we'd have to be sitting on a couch for that.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And I think you'd be invoicing me. There are a lot of us who present very confidently as well and happy that, like, again, there's so many things that we go through on a daily basis that people are unaware of. And you have to understand that it's a lot of people, right? We all don't just show what we go through on our faces every day. Allyship can really help us and many people with the things that we are hiding ourselves. And like one of the big things I've gotten so annoyed with this year is just even people that don't mean it in a negative way, just being like, why, like, how are we still, like, what is the importance of Pride Month still? Like, people get it, but a lot of people will be like, haven't we come far enough that this is becoming a little bit more obsolete? And the answer is like, so far, no. Like, it's not great. You live in a liberal city where like there's a neighborhood, like, congratulations. Like, I still walk through the neighborhood in Philadelphia and get called a slur. Do you know what I mean? Like, and before I read this, I also need to really take a moment and say, like, just like sort of acknowledge my privilege on this conversation, because at the end of the day, I'm a cis white gay man, and that comes with all of the privileges of being a cis white man in many situations, right? Yes, I have the gay card. Congratulations, me. Like, great. Some moments in my life have been difficult. But like, we can go into intersectionality and all of those things on this call if we want to, and I think it's important because so many people don't walk around with those privileges, like just including queer people of color in these conversations is so important, especially our trans siblings, right? Like one of these stats, the reason why I need to bring this up, this is some stats and then I added some stuff to it, but like talking about global, like homophobia as a whole, it was saying like same-sex marriage is only legal in 29 out of 195 countries, just under 15% of the world. Granted, I did not fact check all these, so if somebody is here listening and gets mad at me, I'm waving my finger and saying, fine, read me for filth on my own social, but for this podcast, we're going with it. It says 69 countries have laws that criminalize homosexuality. And I know it's a lot. Is it 69? I don't know. LGBTQ plus members are 5 times more likely to attempt suicide before the age of 25. And this person in their own post was like, I get called a slur by a random stranger an average of twice a week. And so like I shared that and, you know, added to it saying, and so much more, because there are so many other stats that go unheard, unrecognized. And I just said, please remember how much work still has to be done, right? Just because you don't see it or your queer loved ones shield you from the truth of what they endure doesn't mean that it's not happening, right? So like, and I even say, do your research and be an ally. LOL, Kedzie, do more of your own research. But, you know, I work with organizations like Athlete Ally that fight against homophobia and transphobia in sport and do a lot of work within legislation. You know, my friend is the VP of communications at the Trevor Project, and I'm trying to get some of my clients working there. I'm a member of the Gay Games, and I just joined the Mazzoni Center, which is a resource center here in Philadelphia for queer people. So like I've heard these stats before. I've heard these stories before, and the numbers are drastically worse for people of color. And again, at the worst being our trans siblings of color, right? And so it's just like, yes, congratulations to everybody who wants to like celebrate Pride and get in the conversation and change their logo rainbow and donate for that month or whatever. But just think about like these people's lives, our lives, go beyond the day of June 30th. And like we need the support and people need these resources and the money going to the right programs every day. And we want to be seen and we want to be represented and we want to know that we have people on our side just because, you know, or just beyond the month of June. I could keep going. Sorry, I'm ranting.
No, so. It's great. And the stats that you shared are heavy. Like they are not just like, it's not just gay marriage. It's not just, you know, a single thing. Like when companies show up in the sense that they change their logo to rainbow, like that just doesn't feel, that feels like you aren't trying.
It's borderline. I would say borderline, but you know, it just is. It's insulting, right? Yeah. Like people don't even know like what the rainbow really means, right? Like people just like, oh, gay people. Oh gosh, I watched a video the other day that was from, I think it's Minot, North Dakota, of just people at a town hall just reaming, you know, the government for flying a pride flag, right? And I mean, I'm not even gonna go down this road. I'm going on a tangent here, which I warned you I would do. But this unbelievably amazing, I think the first out proud lesbian politician of, I don't know what her level was, so forgive me if she hears this somehow. Just let him have it. Like let this like one guy have it in the most eloquent and beautiful way that gave me goosebumps. I cried. I shared it everywhere. It is what it is. Just because like we're here, like, and there's room for all of us. And yes, we take the month of June to celebrate it to the next extent. But I mean, honestly, it has to go beyond that because like we're talking about life expectancy. Like, yes, in the United States as a whole, we have it better than so many of the countries where it's literally illegal to be gay, right? Great. Yes, we know that. But there's still so much work to be done.
That shouldn't be the bar. That shouldn't be the bar.
That shouldn't be the bar.
Like we shouldn't be comparing ourselves. We shouldn't be saying like, oh, pat on the back for us. We're better than this like dictatorship country, right? Like we should be striving to be an example for everyone. And the companies and organizations here should be doing the same. Like when you say like, we are here every day, like, yes, you're here every day and you're supporting those companies every single day. You're buying from them. You are like at the grocery store choosing what banana brand you want to buy or whatever it is. Like you have like a good, like there, it isn't just right. It's also good business sense to support this community and be an ally for them because, you know, you have buying power. It's not like you're just this group that is just sitting over here, right? Like you are a person at the end of the day, and you are just like everybody else. Like,
no, I know, and yeah. I mean, yes, there is so much negative, and I wanted to steer us back to the positive because that's what we're talking about how to celebrate Pride, right? 365, and it really is like think about what you're doing internally to make sure that your fellow workers feel seen and feel supported, right? Think about what are the organizations you should be supporting year round, like what percentage, what campaign, what program, even if it's just a line, right? Like if you have a pride, like I use that example, if you have a line, maybe it's not a pride line, but maybe it's a specific line that a portion of the proceeds support something that is positive for the LGBTQ plus community, right? Maybe it is a pride line year long. Woo! I mean, I would love that. I would love to be able to find more than just a few cheesy rainbow products year round, okay? Listen, I'm throwing rainbow parties more than just in June, okay? I mean, and there's so much more than that. I'm definitely just scratching the surface here. But like another thing that people just don't realize, or they do, but we don't talk about really in our everyday lives is like, think about how much social traction, I mean social media traction things get when a celebrity or a big brand just acknowledges something that's happening, right? Like, I don't know, oh gosh, here we go with my tangents. The Free Britney movement that's happening right now. And I'm not going to go in there, I'm not a Britney Spears fan. I'm not going to weigh in on the atrocities that she has been through. I'm not going to do that. But I mean, I was not aware that this was like a thing. I was not aware that this was a thing until like that audio leaked recently. And now you see like big names and big, powerful people talking about it. And suddenly like, that's how the media gets involved. That's how people get power. That's how things happen. And it's like, imagine if, I don't know, I don't want to like, use a brand name here, but I don't know. What's a brand that everyone knows? Give me one, Sam.
Levi's.
Okay, what if Levi's, wow, what a specific brand. What if Levi's decided, you know, that within their DEI initiatives, they did a little bit more homework on like, what are some of the, I'm getting so nitpicky here, but just as an example, what if like a DEI organization within Levi's did their homework, decided, okay, like we're gonna try and find out what are some of the pressing queer legislative things going on in our flagship state, right? Like keep it simple, like just our flagship state, even our hometown, wherever their HQ is, and decided like, yeah, like we're gonna talk about these things because they're in our backyard, they're in our community. Forget making about like again, like just supporting queer people just to get the attention, but more of like, no, these are people in our community, and like there's laws going into place to disallow them from adopting, to disallow them from being in the room for each other when one of them is having a medical emergency and they're not listed as family, right? What if it's things like that? Like people don't think about home ownership and all these other elements that a normal hetero couple can do or a hetero person can do. And you think about the legislation that people go out of their way to write, right? Pride programs don't need to be about money. Sometimes it's just about bringing awareness to things that 99 out of 100 people don't know are going on, right? And you don't know unless you do your research. So like there are so many powerful ways to amplify things and communicate. And I would love to see more companies doing that year round. Imagine that is a pride campaign. That is something that to be proud of. Wow, I'm going to go start pitching this to my other clients. That's it. I'm walking away from those conversations. I'm going to start pitching.
I'll send you an invoice for the brainstorm later.
Thank you.
No, I love that though. Like I love the idea that it's not just about, you know, putting money behind an initiative. That's great. Right. Don't stop doing that. We love that. but there's other ways you can be an ally. And when we think even as ourselves as like individuals, right, there's certain things that we can do, and it's not different for companies. It's not like it's a different set of rules. It's just we ask for companies to act like human beings almost, you know, to be empathetic, to be supportive year round, to, if you're going to leverage the flag as like a way to make yourself seem good and do the rainbow washing thing, then like at least be good. Like it's not, it doesn't seem like it's that much to ask.
No, and you bring up a great topic for another podcast, or if you're ever talking to clients, or there are clients out there that want to talk to me. This idea of brands are no longer just businesses. That's changed, right? And I don't know if that happened because of social media or just additional awareness and the different, everyone knows if you work in marketing, if you work in sales, like the consumer's in control now. We already knew that. That's not new. That's been going on for forever, well, not forever, for a long time. But now, like, it's exactly right. Brands are held to this standard of, your friend, the person next door, the person you want to do business with, right? It's, what are your values? Like, I know I've had many conversations with more old school people who are like, we like hired some brand consultant and we're like putting together company values and promises and all this stuff, which, by the way, I do that. But like, they're like these old, more old school way of thinking, mean like, this is all a bunch of hoopla or like whatever. And it's like, no, welcome to the world now where the consumer has a lot of choices. There's so much visibility into what companies are doing, what brands are doing. And we want to make sure that we're making, again, this doesn't apply to everyone. And I know I speak from a place of privilege, but a lot of us want to make our decisions based on social justice, product sourcing, political donations. Like we want to see what companies are doing. What companies, like I said, companies a person at this point. Like, who are you?
Yep.
Do I want to do business with you? It's not. It's what it used to be.
Yeah, and I couldn't agree more. Like, one thing that I say frequently is, growth and impact go hand in hand. You can't have growth without impact, and you can't have impact without growth. Like, correct. You have to be profitable in order to have a positive impact, and you can't grow these days without having a purpose. And I think that, consumers see right through any sort of rainbow washing or green washing or black washing. Like, we have the internet, we know how to Google, and people talk.
Memes happen instantly now. Yeah. If you do something simple, gosh, I remember the day, I'm trying to make this lighthearted, but I remember the day where like a meme would happen. This is actually sound so old. I'm 31 and I sound like I'm a crotchety old man. But I remember when a meme would happen and that meme would go viral for like a month, right? And it's like, you would see it in a couple different ways every couple days or whatever. Yeah. Now it's like, I log on to Twitter. Yes, I am part of the dumpster fire that is Twitter. But it's such a great information source, and you have to do your own research, but whatever. You log into Twitter, there are a dozen memes a day that come in a billion different variations, because everybody I follow makes their own version of the meme, right? Because everyone needs to be funny. It's true, but I love it. It's the internet. And then the next day, if you miss it that day, it's over. It's gone. Like
totally.
We're on to the next. So yeah, so some of these companies, like, gosh, I saw so many good memes this month of just people making fun of companies for trying to get involved with Pride. That, like, okay, your heart's in the right spot, but like throwing the Progress Pride flag behind your logo when you're like an iron company, and I'm making that up, but it's pretty close. You're just like, what? Like,
yeah, I think that's such a good point. Like, and I think you're being too nice when you say your heart's in the right place, because I think if that was the case, we would be a little bit nicer in response to it. It's that your wallet is in a very specific place, and that's what you're thinking with.
Yeah, I'm trying to be too nice here.
Yeah, you're being way too nice. But I think you do raise a good point that, a lot of companies and individuals are hesitant to speak out because they don't know what to say and they feel like they're going to say it wrong. And I think that when you're authentic and when you are coming from a place of true, wanting to do better, wanting to help, I think that there is an opportunity for people to begin to get involved, and a bit of like a forgiveness scale, right? Of like, if you mess up, yes, people are going to notice. But if you respond in a like genuine and authentic and like true way, like the memes are going to be done tomorrow. We're all going to move on and we're going to think positively of you. Like, it's a great opportunity for you to kind of flip it.
Now I'm going to be the one who will be like, you're being too nice. I'm just going to say, don't mess up. Just don't mess up. Just don't mess up. Don't mess up. Don't mess up, because cancel culture is real. And yes, okay, Sam, I will say, you are right. People can come back from the brink, but it depends on what the error is.
True. Very true.
Right? Very true. But anyways, you make a good point. Yes.
But I think too, and I think this is something that I want to touch on quickly, is, how there's so many companies that want to start getting involved with whether it's the LGBTQ plus community or the Black Lives Matter movement or anything else, what would you recommend to them as they begin to think like, okay, I have never done anything in this space, but I personally, my heart's in the right place. I want to do something good, but I don't know what that is. Like, what do you say to them? How can they start getting involved and not be like a performative activist?
I'm not going to have the right answer here, but I have some options that come to mind. Like, okay, I'm going to go on levels here. One, you should be hiring for diversity. Or not, I mean, your team should be diverse. And if you're looking around and you all look the same, like, there's an issue there. Like, think about it. But at the same time, there is a fine line to walk with, like, leaning on your teammates who are of the minority that you want to support at that time. Because, like, I know from personal experience and from some of my very good friends, like, no one wants to be the token person of color that you go to sign off on a campaign, right? Do you know what I mean? Like, I've seen it happen, and it's so awkward when a room full of white people ask the one person of color in the company to come in and review the creative assets and say, does this speak to you? Like, like, talk about, I wanted to just jump out the window. I was a consultant. It wasn't my company, so I just need that to be said. But it's like awful. And the same goes for like, I never want to be the queer person that someone's like, is this the right pride campaign? However, there are ways to do it right. There are ways to do it empathetically. There are ways to have that conversation and be like, listen, yada, 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 what have you. But other options would be like, maybe you actually reach out to the community that you want to be a part of. Maybe there are, community centers, resource centers, health centers, that have, or DEI, what about vendors, right? What about queer-owned businesses, Black-owned businesses? There are clubs and organizations that focus on social justice movements, right? Like, find experts and teams of experts that you can sit down and have a conversation with. Like, don't just shove a square peg into a circle hole for the one campaign you want to run. Like, make it part of your culture, make it part of your company, form these relationships, hire diverse people. Like, I don't know, there are so many things that you can do, but like, I selfishly, like, I think more people should work. If you don't have that team around you already, I think you should be looking for businesses that do that work, right? That do DEI work, that do content work, that do campaign initiatives that are led by or made up of diverse people, right? Be aware of your weaknesses and be willing to admit it and grow from there.
I think that's such. Yeah, I think it's such a great point, because so many companies are like, okay, I want to support this. Let's talk to marketing. And it's like, no, before you even start talking to marketing, before you even start like thinking about how will the consumer like respond to this, look in the mirror. Make sure that you are taking the efforts that you're supposedly promoting and applying them to your own organization. And
absolutely,
I think that should be, any company's first step is looking for more diverse hires, looking for more diverse suppliers, as opposed to, throwing a rainbow flag on Instagram.
Absolutely. And I will say, though, the same thing goes where we're sitting here talking about how do you support Pride for more than June. If you do this thing where you want to work with outside partners that understand the story, and you want to learn from them, right? And you want to be educated and sort of bring some of and build that into your own ecosystem and your own value system and your own business. You also need to remember it shouldn't be a one and done situation, right? It can't be, okay, February is Black History Month. We're going to hire a Black-owned creative agency. Great. Thanks for your help. Have a nice day. And when March comes, right, that's not like, we need to be working together to build a more united, more diverse, more connected community all the time. And, like you said, we're going to be making mistakes. People are going to make mistakes. People are going to find gaps in what you're doing all the time. But just, myself every day with work, I just want to be 1% better every day. Like, okay, there are days I sit on the couch and eat chips all day. It's fine. But as a whole, right? I love that mantra of 1% better every day. That's doable. I don't know what that looks like every day, but I try.
Yeah.
And I think that companies can take the same thing. How can you be better? What is it today? Yeah. What is it tomorrow?
And it's a always moving goal. You're never going to be fully sustainable. You're never going to be a fully responsible company. So right. You don't have to worry about being perfect because it's not possible. It's just about progress.
You can ask my therapist. I get told it all the time. Perfection is not attainable. I have to.
Kedzie, this has been a fantastic conversation. I really appreciate your time, as always. How can people and companies stay in touch, follow you, follow your journey?
Well, first and foremost, go to my website, kedziet.com, and my name is special. It's Kedziet. T is my last initial. Wow, I really messed that up. But my first name was Kedzie, which I'm sure will be written somewhere with this podcast. Yep. That's me as a person. You'll find my consulting page there. But I'm always down to clown and make new friends on social media. So if you find me on Instagram, it's also Kedzie, and I am on Twitter as Keds, and I invite you to it, but just know that's a little bit less curated.
I follow you on Twitter, and I absolutely love it, so don't worry.
Thank you. And I will say the last thing, because I know there are branders out there, or you're yourself, people ask me all the time, why is your Twitter different from all your other handles? Because everything of me, email, web, everything is Kedzie, and 2 reasons. I got Keds because I was an early adopter of Twitter, so I got a 4-letter handle.
Never let that go. Never let that go.
Never. But also, I like to tell myself that by being a little bit different, that people find me less quickly on Twitter that way.
There you go.
It's not true. It's not true. It's not true. I want to imagine that that's the case, but whatever. Anyways, that's how you can reach me.
Awesome. Well, Kedzie, thank you. It was a pleasure as always, and I'm sure I will talk to you very soon, be sliding into your DMs, hanging out with you all the time.
Thank you, Sam. Congrats on this podcast.
Thank you.
Keep kicking butt. I love following your journey, and for anyone listening, make sure you subscribe to her podcast because she's cool and it's going to keep getting better.
Thanks, Kedzie. Talk to you later.
Wow.